The sound of the slap echoed through the hospital lobby. Every nurse, patient, and visitor turned to look as a young woman stumbled backward, one hand covering her burning cheek. Tears filled her eyes, but she refused to cry. Standing in front of her was the hospital CEO, her face filled with anger. "Get out. You don't belong here." For one painful moment, nobody moved. But less than 5 minutes later, the loud thunder of helicopter blades shook the windows. People rushed outside, watching a Navy helicopter descend onto the emergency landing pad. No one could imagine that the frightened woman who had just been humiliated would change every life inside that hospital before the day was over. Before we begin, welcome to Kindness Moments. If stories that restore your faith in humanity inspire you, please subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and one act of kindness you've never forgotten. Your support helps us share more heartwarming stories with people around the world. Emily Carter was 28 years old and had spent the last 3 years caring for her father, retired Navy rescue pilot Daniel Carter. After a long illness, Daniel had finally passed away, leaving Emily with nothing but old photographs, a worn leather jacket, and memories of a man who believed that helping strangers was life's greatest purpose. Money was tight. Emily worked 2 part-time jobs while applying for administrative positions across the city. One rainy Monday morning, she received an email inviting her to an interview at Westbrook Medical Center, one of the most respected hospitals in the state. She borrowed her neighbor's car, put on her only business suit, and drove across town with hope in her heart. But fate had other plans. Halfway there, she noticed an elderly homeless woman sitting on a bus stop bench, soaked by the rain and struggling to breathe. Cars passed without slowing. Emily looked at the clock. If she stopped, she'd probably be late. If she kept driving, she might get the job. She remembered something her father always said: "People matter more than schedules." She pulled over. Emily wrapped her own jacket around the woman and called 911. When the ambulance arrived, the paramedic thanked her. "You may have saved her life." Emily smiled. "I hope someone would do the same for my dad." By the time she reached Westbrook Medical Center, she was nearly 30 minutes late, her clothes damp and her hair ruined by the storm. Inside the lobby stood CEO Victoria Reynolds, known for demanding perfection. Victoria glanced at Emily's appearance with obvious disgust. "So you're the applicant?" "Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry I'm late. I stopped to help." Victoria interrupted. "I don't care about excuses." Emily tried again. There was an elderly woman who needed. Without warning, Victoria shoved Emily's folder onto the floor. Papers scattered everywhere. Security guards watched silently. Victoria stepped closer. "If you can't manage your own life, you certainly can't work here." Emily bent down to collect her papers. One page stuck to Victoria's shoe. When Emily reached for it, Victoria pushed her hand away. Then came the slap. "Get out, bitch." The entire lobby froze. Emily stood there, shocked, holding back tears. She quietly picked up her papers and walked toward the exit. At that exact moment, a security officer looked through the front windows. "There's a helicopter coming in." The powerful Navy aircraft landed outside, drawing doctors and nurses toward the emergency entrance. 2 uniformed officers stepped out, followed by a gray-haired admiral. Instead of walking toward the emergency room, they headed straight for the front lobby. The admiral looked around until his eyes landed on Emily. He smiled warmly. "There you are." Everyone stared. Victoria frowned. "I'm sorry, sir. This area is restricted." The admiral ignored her. He walked directly to Emily and gently noticed the red mark on her cheek. "What happened?" Emily shook her head. "It's okay." But one of the nurses quietly whispered the truth. The admiral's expression changed. He turned toward Victoria. "Do you know who this young woman is?" Victoria crossed her arms. "An applicant who couldn't even arrive on time." The admiral took a deep breath. "No." He pointed toward Emily. "She's the daughter of Commander Daniel Carter." Several older hospital employees suddenly recognized the name. Commander Carter had spent 25 years flying dangerous rescue missions, saving both military personnel and civilians during hurricanes, floods, and wildfires. The admiral continued. 10 years ago, this hospital lost power during a massive storm. Neonatal patients would have died. He paused. Commander Carter risked his life flying emergency generators through impossible weather. Doctors nodded quietly. Some had worked that night. He refused every award and simply said, "Take care of the babies." The Admiral smiled at Emily. "And yesterday we learned his daughter stopped to save another stranger instead of worrying about herself." The paramedic who had treated the homeless woman suddenly entered through the emergency doors. He recognized Emily instantly. "That's her." Everyone looked at him. "She's the reason our patient survived this morning." A silence filled the lobby. The same employees who had watched without speaking now lowered their heads in shame. Victoria's confidence disappeared. She realized that while she had judged someone by wet clothes and a late arrival, Emily had quietly been saving lives. The Admiral reached into his pocket. He handed Emily a small medal. "Your father once earned this for extraordinary compassion." He gently closed her fingers around it. "I think he'd want you to have it now." Emily finally couldn't hold back her tears. "I just did what he taught me." At that moment, the chairman of the hospital board walked into the lobby after hearing the commotion. Several witnesses described everything they had seen. Security footage confirmed it. The chairman turned toward Victoria. "Our hospital was built on service and respect." He looked at Emily. "Not fear." Victoria was immediately placed on administrative leave while the board reviewed her conduct. Then the chairman surprised everyone. He faced Emily. "We still have an open position." Emily laughed softly through her tears. "I'm probably not the candidate you're looking for." He smiled. "Actually, you're exactly the kind of person this hospital needs." 3 months later, Emily became director of community outreach. She started free transportation programs for elderly patients, organized volunteer teams, and created emergency care packages for homeless families. The hospital's culture slowly changed. Employees began recognizing acts of kindness every Friday. Doctors stayed after shifts to help families. Receptionists learned patients' names. Even small smiles became part of daily life. One afternoon, Emily walked past the same lobby where she had once been humiliated. A nervous young applicant rushed through the doors, 20 minutes late and completely out of breath. "I'm so sorry," the woman said. "My car broke down, and I stopped to help an injured dog." Emily smiled. Instead of judging her, she handed over a bottle of water. "You must have had a difficult morning." The woman nodded. Emily pointed toward the interview room. "Take a deep breath. We're glad you're here." Because one moment of kindness can stop a cycle of cruelty. One gentle choice can honor a parent's legacy. One compassionate heart can change an entire organization. And sometimes, the strongest person in the room isn't the one with the biggest title. It's the one who refuses to stop caring. If this story touched your heart, remember this. Every stranger is carrying a story you cannot see, and every act of kindness creates a ripple that travels farther than you may ever know. Be the reason someone believes good people still exist, because kindness never truly disappears. It simply waits for someone brave enough to pass it on.